actually do have questions that I've never asked you.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, let's bring them on.
So this is not like us rehashing conversations that we've had in the past.
Okay, this is new stuff.
This is new stuff.
New directions. Okay.
New directions. So you have worked as a data scientist, and how did that happen? Like, what was your path into data science?
Oh yeah, weird. How did I do that? Yeah, it was basically ad tech. Yeah, I worked for this company that was really small, and they had no problem hiring me, even though I had no experience, and I was terrible. I mean, I didn't have, because I didn't have experience, right? So it's basically, like very junior sort of like level, I would imagine. But they didn't seem to care. I don't know why. They weren't too picky. I seemed like I could do the work, and I met them at some meetup, like these founders. But it was weird. It felt like a startup, but it really wasn't a startup because they weren't trying to scale or do anything. They were just like an ad tech business, and they were satisfied with the clients they had. And they were making money, and there's only a few people. So they were like, yeah, we're just doing this. It didn't feel like a startup at all. It just felt like, we're doing some stuff. I had to do some data engineering stuff. I had to do some data science stuff mostly with Databricks, like Spark sort of things. So little to no R use, but more Python use actually, way back, sort of like Python 2.7 use. So
like, the Python 2.3, I remember that transition.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly.
It was rough times on the internet. So were you doing any, because, right now I think of you as someone with strong data science skills who is now really focused on being a software engineer in a lot of ways. So what kind of skills did you bring to that ad tech job? I'm imagining you were fresh out of college and you were like, oh yes, I know how to, what did you know? What did you bring?
Well, I still need some R stuff, like going in, I sort of like did some stuff with R. I had some projects on the side, so that was fine. So I kind of knew what I was doing there. I just didn't have a job in that sort of field. So that's why I felt like, am I really getting this job? That's crazy. Somehow got that job. I just need some R, like self-study. I did my own projects. That's kind of like the way I sort of learned, I got some projects. It was kind of it. And then just I sort of not abandoned R, but I put off to the side, still worked on my side projects a little bit, but mostly focused on Python and PySpark. It was good, like tons and tons of data. So I learned things about data engineering before I really knew it was called data engineering. That's how far back it was. I never, I just called it taking data and putting it in a folder, in an Amazon AWS bucket is what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. I feel like there was I can't think of, I don't remember when data engineering became the accepted term.
Yeah, it was a year or two after that, I think.
Yeah, it was it was such an interesting time to become a data scientist too, right? Because it did you have a data scientist title, or did you have?
No, it was actually machine learning engineer. Yeah. Okay. And then it became machine learning manager or something like that. But it really wasn't a big deal. It was just a title change. I don't know why. I guess I cleared probation or something. So they just changed my title for no real reason. It's okay. Now I'm this. It sounds actually, I thought that second title sounded worse, manager, why? I'm not managing anybody. I'm just managing the system, I guess. So I guess that's it. I don't know. It might have been an English thing because the company was headquartered in London, UK. Even though it was weird. It was 5 people and people were in different far-flung places. It was kind of why?
This is amazing because you were doing a data science role, but really data engineering, working remote before all of this was just industry standard.
Yeah. I had a remote job way back. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
So you've built a reputation as kind of an R package developer.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. Yeah. Still
do. But I think, so unfortunately, this is a poorly worded question, but I think you get my sense of humor. So you have a particular focus on data validation and management.
Yes. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Explain yourself.
Why? Because data is always messed up in some way or another. I mean, going back to damn game studio, it had really terrible data. Well, yeah, it was so bad. So I had to develop this tool. Basically, that's what point blank is. I had to so way back in 2017, I think it was. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I developed this thing point blank, and it was great. Right away, I could see which things were bad, and I can like tell people, because we actually had data engineers, this is not good. And it was good. I had a report, like they can like get the rows which were bad, and they can sort of like see. So it was great. It was like a kind of a closed loop. Like we actually were able to fix a bunch of things. Couldn't fix everything, because of time and bandwidth, but we got something done. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that it sort of works. Like, in an ideal world, it would be like, yeah, we could fix all the problems if we had unlimited time, but we fixed on the main things, and it was kind of nice, satisfying that something I made caused something good to happen.
And that is, a fan. No, I mean, that's a great feeling, right? Like when you, I feel like, especially working with computers and with tech, sometimes it just feels like you are pouring work into a system and you never really see anything come from that. And so that seems really satisfying to build a tool. And I didn't realize Point Blank was made to solve a business problem. I just assumed, you have told me, you'll be like, oh, I was out at a coffee shop and I had an idea for a package, so I wrote a package. So I just kind of assumed Point Blank fell into that, but Point Blank was designed for a business problem.
Yeah, I got angry. Like, I didn't want to do any more like queries like all the time, like every day. So I'm like, screw it. I'll whip together a package. And it was good. Like, the initial iteration didn't take incredibly long. I don't think. Otherwise, I would have just abandoned it. So it was good. It was immediately useful, which was great. And then like, I got to a certain shape, and then I released it to CRAN. And then I didn't work on it for years and years because I just didn't. I don't know. My focus just like moves from things. Like that project is dead to me. It's like the mindset sometimes. But then I got back to it. Like in, I think it was 2020. Yeah, like pandemic times. I had to have something to do. I'm indoors more. Let's just work on this thing.
Yeah.
But I think it was actually before that too. Maybe I anticipated something. I don't know. It's like,
so you taught, like, you saw a problem and then you like whipped up a package, right?
Yeah.
How did you learn to develop packages, and what advice do you have for someone who maybe thinks they want to develop packages but isn't really sure?
Yeah. So basically, I just had a bunch of scripts lying around. It got to that point. Then like I just been reading, thinking like, oh yeah, people are making packages, and like you just like take the functions from there, and like you just got to load in your package, and you got all these functions back. You don't have to like find them somewhere. You don't have to like search for your scripts. Like these documents everywhere. I mean, that's totally disorganized. So I thought like, okay, so I'll make this into one thing. It's like one theme. They all work nicely together. I'll just make functions and then like some examples, and then like away it went. And like that's pretty much it. Like I think I started like that way with other things besides Point Blank, obviously before that. But it's kind of like that's how it started. Like just like a bunch of scripts, and then like thinking, yeah, I can organize this. And like I found some great like tutorials online. Like I forgot which ones they were. I wish I could like tell them to you. This is before like the R packages book. This is like,
so I remember Hillary Parker had
that's the one. Yeah. And that post is probably still there. That post lives like somewhere. That was a great one because I followed that to the T. Yeah, there's that one. And then Carl Broman had a bunch of stuff too.
Okay.
I think that was more like submitting the CRAN because I had some anxiety there. It's like,
that's like a whole different, like there's creating the package, right? And I think that's something where people get a little tripped up, is you can make a package and be the only person who ever uses it, right?
Yeah.
Just definitely. Like there's nothing in our package development that says now it has to go to CRAN. Like,
no. Yeah,
you
I just kind of did
to make your package public, right? Like your package can be just private, can live on your local computer.
Yeah.
And that can be the end of it.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to like, go all the way, I guess, within our package. So I did that, and I followed the advice. And my very first package, it was like a data package, and it was rejected because, it was rejected because like, basically because it was useless. It's like, they thought it was like, your package sucks. They didn't say that. They said like, how they don't see how it furthers the field of statistics. I was like, whoa, okay. Wow. It's a data set. You can make statistics from it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a data set package. I guess like way back when, that was not a cool thing to do. Or I just got unlucky and got the wrong reviewer. I think that was more it. Yeah. But that sort of like, that had me shook. I was like, I didn't submit anything for like another like year after that. Yeah, I mean like, I don't know. Like I thought I had thick skin for CRAN, but at that time I did not. but now I do.
Yeah.
Now I do.
Yeah. We almost need like something like, I think our OpenSci actually does this now, where if you are submitting a package, you can work with them to do like a review process before you go to CRAN.
Make
which
sure everything's good.
nice.
This is CRAN quality. Like, now you can submit it. It should be fine. It should be fine. Yeah, I know. Like starting out, you don't know what's what. So you just kind of do it and see what happens. And it's like, Anyways, it didn't get me it didn't discourage me that much. I mean, from like submitting to CRAN.
Clearly,
I still developed stuff.
Clearly,
I kept going. Persevered.
So one thing that I really love so I didn't know about Point Blank until you had shown me maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and it's incredible. Like, it's definitely a package that would have helped me out earlier in my data science career. I'm not going in the direction you think. Your documentation for Point Blank is fantastic.
Thank you.
Of course. Like from that opening GIF, first of all, is amazing.
The package icon.
It does like a scan, because I think, so we'll talk about your graphic design stuff too, but like the way you've laid it out, you've added icons, you've done examples, like you have good documentation. What motivates you to go beyond just like the basic requirements for documentation?
Yeah, because I basically always thought the basic requirements were terrible. Like when I see like our documentation, like it's good. It's good that it has a help file for, functions. No, that's like great. But it's time to get in there. You're like more confused. You kind of wish you just like messed around with the function a bit more than like reading the docs. That's a bit exaggerated, but it wasn't great. So I thought, how can I elevate this stuff? How can I make that a little bit better? Well, let's try to make it fun at least. Let's make some icons, and then I'll have something to do. Like, at least I'll have a spare hobby. It's like, now I'm drawing in Sketch, and like, it's fun. And like thinking of ideas, I'm sketching them out like on paper first. And I'm like, this is pretty good for an icon. I'm going to make it so. So yeah.
So you drew the icons. Like, you didn't just
I draw so much stuff. Yeah, I've got like notebooks. I draw stuff all the time, like mostly in pencil. Like, check this out. This is some stuff I drew for like GT, which is here. It's like just a bunch of sketches for things I want to do. Yeah, I like to draw stuff. See, I got numerous pages here. I've got like a pile of like papers of just stuff I draw. And it's like, if I don't capture this stuff, it's like, well, it may not happen. But I mean, it probably won't happen anyways, because I won't get to it. But, there's like at least a chance that something will happen if I write it down. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's so much fun, like doing icon stuff. Like, that used to be like a major thing, like in the early aughts, I think. People were just doing icons all the time. I'm not sure why. At least maybe that's what I thought.
No,
there's like a subculture of icons.
Yeah, there was a period. There was a time, oh gosh, it must have been 2015, 2016.
Yeah, I think that's where it kind of blew up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was building a deck for a startup, and I was doing some of their graphic design work, and they wanted icons. Yeah. And I remember being like, I don't think I could have. I think you had to pay for them. And I was like, I can just make my own. And I found it so much fun to go from, I'm trying to convey this idea.
Yes, exactly. Same thing with me. It's like exactly the same. It's like some of these things are so abstract and nobody has an icon for it. It's like, is it going to be something like, it's so weird. It's like, oh my God, how to explain this? Like, it's like a little thing you're going to do in a function, and nothing like that exists. And you don't even know how to like convey it at all. Like, there's no iconography. There's nothing in the history of the world, maybe, that has been drawn like this. It's so weird. Like, there's a bunch of icons like that. And although I can't name names anymore, it's definitely been like that. It's like, nobody has this. This is such a kind of an obvious thing that data people do all the time, but there's no icons for data people. It's like so weird. For like inserting a row, like, or like editing a row. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's stuff like that, but even just for like tables, like just tables themselves, there's not much for that. I mean, there's some things for like some data operations, like editing and like, deleting, but like, I don't know, like I had one the other day, like adding something before an extension of like a file name. There's definitely no file name related like icons, except for like a picture of a file and some icon extension. But there's nothing like, even a regex icon that does not exist. Or like a YAML logo doesn't exist. So I just made like my impromptu YAML logo in like Point Blank. It was so weird.
That's kind of amazing. Yeah, like I feel like, there's the generally accepted emoji, and then kind of there's also icons, and then but like when you get into subfields, there's not necessarily an icon for the things you're trying to communicate.
You may find something that's a little bit roundabout, and definitely places like Font Awesome, but more like Icons 8. They have like tons of icons now for all sorts of like little specialized things, but it's not really enough for like all the little things in like data. It's weird.
Yeah. So creating your own icons is maybe above and beyond for documentation, right? But it's something you enjoy because you can't find off the shelf solutions. Like, what tools do you use to, like, if someone was like, oh, hey, I'm kind of interested in that, like, what tools do you use to create your own icons?
Yeah, it's entirely Sketch, and with a bunch of templates that I got and a few plugins. But Sketch is, you can use anything that's like a vector drawing program to do it.
Okay.
I just like Sketch because it's nice and clean. It has some pretty good tools. It's very accurate in terms of what you can do. Just like some good like grid snapping, which is wonderful as well. And all sorts of like nice things for like going from like something that's vector based to raster based. Like it'll optimize things for you so you don't get like these subpixel sort of like aberrations that you know what I'm talking about. So it'll do stuff like that, like sort of like pixel binning and stuff like that. So I thought Sketch was pretty cool, and it's really come a long way. The only problem is it's very expensive. It's like I cannot keep up with the licensing. I just buy a license every like 3 or 4 years, and then just like coast on the year of updates, and then just keep an old version.
It's fair.
But it's good though. Yeah, it has great export, like text, like that's like an SVG can be exported to like it'll sort of like auto generate like paths for you from like generate outlines for you, just like Photoshop does with text. So you can just like have SVGs with like path based typography.
Nice.
Which is great. So it avoids a whole issue with like displaying SVGs like somewhere else.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing. So you've got more than a passing interest in graphic design, right?
Yeah. It's great. There's so much tradition in that. Just like in film, right? There's like a whole film tradition and vocabulary. It's same, and it's more the case, of course, for graphic design. And like, I'm endlessly fascinated with it.
Yeah. So how, like, can you say a little bit more about how your deep dive into graphic design influences your software engineering and data science work?
Yeah, like things like typography just by itself, like that's a just one small part of like graphic design. But I found that fascinating because like there's a balance between like like where the lines are, where the negative space is, how like letters combine together, things like kerning. But like it's such a delicate operation, like you can be off by a little bit and you can detect it, like the eye can sort of see that there's this giant gulf of space. And the cool thing is like, wow, there's so much to it. Like certain pairs of letters just don't combine very well together. It's like some things are just a mess and you have to deal with it. That's an amazing thing to me. It's like, how do you deal with this? It's like, especially serif-based fonts, sometimes they collide too much. They just really get in the way.
And you get ligatures.
Yeah, sort of like unintentional ones. But yeah, the real ligatures are awesome. Yeah, as a solution to that. Just amazing. And I sort of like look around with that and see what people are doing with that sort of thing.
It definitely it all comes together. Yeah, for sure. And I think that comes through really strongly in your documentation as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll just like to write a lot or not. But it's that too. Like not just like like the visuals, but like you're in a help article. You just got there. It's like nothing about the rest of the package. Maybe you just looked at it like today or like just recently. It's like, okay, I got a chance in this article to like help you do the thing you want to do and steer you in other ways too that may be sort of useful. And like I sort of erred on the side of like writing a bit too much, like just repeating a lot. But I don't want people to jump around like to hunt for things. I just want people like to find something useful and get some context and maybe get their stuff done. So that's the sort of like the mindset behind like like each article being like a tome of like examples and like like details and different sections. It's a lot. Like the source code for like the documentation takes up almost more lines than like the actual like code. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you definitely get the
typing.
sense, like you put a lot of care into the code, but also, I feel like so many of us, we get done coding and just don't want to do the documentation. But I
No, there's
feel like
definitely that. Yeah.
you enjoy the documentation.
Yeah, I do. Once you get into it, it's like
Yeah.
you have to like really commit. It's like if I'm gonna do this documentation, I have to sweep across the whole package, fix a ton of things. I won't touch any like code or features for a very long time, probably. And like when there's a bunch of icons to draw to, that's even like more compounded. It's like that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. But it's worth it, I think. It's worth it. We're talking about it. That's kind of cool, right? You know, I put all this work into it, and it's like that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is one of your favorite packages?
Oh,
it doesn't have to be yours.
No,
it doesn't have to be nothing of mine. Like whether it's a little known package, whatever, like just a darling, of your workflow, or just something you really admire. It can be any criteria, but however you want to define favorite. What is
my favorite is like probably to be populist. It's like dplyr. It's like, damn, like it got. I owe like multiple like careers to like that one package. It's like when I worked like in analytics, it's like I just used dplyr. Everybody else was using SQL. It's like, no, I'm not going to type all that. I'm just going to do this, and like I'm done. And like they're still typing. Wait 10 minutes. They're still typing because the queries can be long and nested and just like, and then you want to change one little thing, and like you have to write the whole query. You have to really, it's just nuts. I mean, I just rattle off a few lines of dplyr and I was done.
So dplyr is also, I mean, whenever someone's like, if you could be a package, I'm always like dplyr. Like it just.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
Oh my God. I mean, it's great because I was working with databases. I didn't have to change the code. Yeah. It's like, what a great design idea. Like you write it once and it works like in local tables and it works in databases.
It's incredible. It is incredible. And it's one of those things where people will be like, oh, data scientists, I've always felt when I was at, I think I've moved. I mean, I can still do data science is not like what I do day in and day out. But when I was doing data science day in and day out, it always felt weird because I never needed SQL.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was glad.
You see all these posts that are like, data scientists SQL is the tool for data scientists. And I was like, but I have dplyr.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if you know it already, but I wasn't interested in like knowing it to a level I needed.
Yeah.
So I need to like, I need to do some pretty, like I had to sort of like get some good data summaries, which involved quite a bit. Like, and like writing it, I've seen some of the queries other people wrote in my department. It's like, there was like a page, 2 pages just for like one query. It's like, no, come on, why? And for something complex like that, it took maybe like 5-10 lines of like dplyr. No joke.
Yeah. You
like,
can do so much with dplyr. Like you almost like have to, because I mean, you can do an entire, with piping, you could probably do your entire cleaning workflow.
Yeah.
In one, but I end up chunking it based on like what it's trying to do just for debugability. But you could probably, I mean, I think it's unlimited. I don't think there's a limit to like the longest dplyr chain.
No,
I mean, there is in terms of like code smells.
Well, there's eventually a limit. Yeah, eventually.
But like, right, like you could just chain it all together in one dplyr.
Yeah, exactly. I had these like long scripts that did all sorts of great stuff, like cleaning the data, collecting stuff, combining into like one thing, like one sort of like, I don't know. I did a lot of cool stuff. Is tons and tons of dplyr.
So good.
Oh my God. So much like select from dplyr. So much like filter, so much mutate. There was like,
arrange, rename. And then like when you put in other packages like the janitor package and you kind of plug in all of, like dplyr, clean names.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I made plots. So my second would be ggplot.
Yeah.
Because people are always impressed by ggplots, especially if they're sized right, and their presentations like, whoa, that's good. That's a nice plot. They didn't say that. That's what they were feeling. I can tell. But yeah, they looked great, especially if you took a little bit of time with them, like
a little cleanup.
Yeah, did a little
even
theme
like
stuff.
A theme. Yeah. Theme _BW done. It's beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. You just need a little bit, not much. And it goes a long way. So that was good. Like those 2 packages. Wow. I mean, like, I'm sure like it's not just me, like it's tons of people take advantage of that, and like it helps people.
And then you throw it into like Quarto or R Markdown, and you've got a full data analyst workflow.
Yes. At the time I was working, R Markdown was like definitely a going thing. And like, it was like impressive. I was sending reports to people. I was like, HTML, email it, great.
Boom,
Here's the
done.
link. It's like, yeah, it's fantastic. It would update daily, update like, every month if they wanted it. It was, it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
That's why
ecosystem.
so those are my packages. Like those are my like main ones.
That's fair. That's
yeah.
fair. So final question.
Yeah.
Where is a good place for people to find you online?
Okay. My Twitter, which is like my username. Do you know?
I do. I can
RIANNONE.
We will make sure to put that on the screen for people.
Okay, great. And I've also got a Twitter account. I'm the person behind GT_package. In case people didn't know, that's me. And basically, it's a Twitter account for a package, which I think there should be more of. I'm actually thinking of making a new account for Point Blank. Should I?
Do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I was hoping you'd say yes. Okay. Good. Okay. I'm gonna do one for Point Blank package. Just to drum up a little bit of interest. Like I know GT will always be like the big thing, but like sometimes you just need to like check data. So for those people, I'll have that account.